So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Hey, what's going on, my peoples? Welcome to another edition of DBDS Live. I'm here with my homegirl, my DBDS sister, Jess. And we have a great show dedicated to help you plant some positive seeds, because self-love, as always, is the most important component of all. And on this show, pretty much we are going to focus on and center around self-care and what actions are necessary steps in order to make sure that you're a better version of yourself, so you can naturally attract the right person in your life. So I'm feeling great today. How you feeling today, Jess?
I'm feeling great. This is a show that really spoke to me. I'm really excited about our topic. So I'm excited for everyone to hear what we got to say today.
Absolutely. Now, this show right here will point out some key points to self-reflect and become a better person. So to our viewers, all we ask is for you to, be open-minded and use this show to reinforce these concepts, and that you'll hear from our guests as well as Jess and myself. So that way you can become a better version of yourself. But before we pivot to our show, I just want to give a special shout out to, Mo. I'm praying for you, brother, and I'm glad you're doing much better. And a shout out to his wife, Gina. Special shout out to AP for doing those amazing videos, as well as my DBDS brand ambassador, Nicole. Thank you for everything you do as well. So before we get rocking, it's so much to cover, Jess. So anything else you want to say to the audience?
Yes, I just wanted to give another shout out again to Mo and Gina, Nicole, AP. We love you guys. Thank you to all the family. Thank you all to the sport. Thank you to all the anonymous tips that you continue to send in, guys. Please feel always free to reach out. And don't forget to subscribe or to buy the DBDS, Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up book. It is a grail. You gotta get in. You gotta read. There's some tips in there that we don't want you to miss.
Absolutely. Just make sure you get that book. It's available on Amazon.com, whether you read it on your tablet, your phone, if you want a hard copy, it's there to help you. So now I'm ready, Jess. Let's just bring our guests into the show, because this is a lot we have to cover, and I want to get these topics out. Definitely. And today's show, before we bring it in, it is titled Self-Love Attracts Healthy Love, because I feel if you don't evolve to become a better person, then we'll make it more challenging to find your better half, but you have to focus on yourself first. So the first person that I am bringing in to the DBDS studio is my sister, Ebony. Welcome back to DBDS Live. How you doing?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good.
Really amazing. Thank you. Tell the people where you're coming from, a little bit about yourself, and why you're on the show today.
I'm Ebony from Woodbridge, Virginia. I'm 33, mom of 2 boys, been divorced, been engaged, I've been single. I have a lot to share with you all, and it's an honor to be back on the show again.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to have you back on the show as well. Absolutely. Now it's time to bring back my brother, very insightful. My brother, Kenneth. Welcome back to DBDS Live, brother. How you feeling?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be back.
Absolutely. So tell the people where you're coming from, a little bit about yourself, and why you're on the show today.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kenneth Woodson. I'm coming to you from Pontiac, Michigan. I am a healthcare professional. I own the Anytime Fitness gym here in the Auburn Hills area. I'm also a United States Marine, served for 8 years, and I am a husband and a father of 2 little ones. Jaden is 6 and Janae is 4.
Nice. And thank you for your service, brother. Greatly appreciate it.
It's an honor.
Absolutely. So this is a great topic, to talk about the self-love, attract healthy love, because, most shows provide guidelines on what to do before what to do to become a better partner while you're in a relationship. But this show right here will provide you a guideline on how to become a better individual before you even, think about diving into a relationship. But before we get started, there is a DBDS Anonymous section where people post their thoughts, the issues and they look for some constructive criticism to help them along their journey. And I'll have my DBDS sister Jess read the letters so we can help our anonymous poster. Take it away, Jess.
You guys ready?
We're ready.
I need some help, DBDS. I don't know if it's controlling behavior, insecurity issues, jealousy, or whatever else on my behalf. I've been married for less than a year, and I work a 24-hour shift, then off 48. Just about every time I work, my wife goes out and gets drunk with some recreational drugs until late, sometimes 3 a.m. She doesn't notify me that she goes out, doesn't really text unless I text her, doesn't call unless she's calling me back. I feel like it's totally disrespectful to me and our marriage. She feels like I'm being overbearing. I've expressed my feelings and she has changed some, but things still surface. She explained to me that it's a process for her and that things will change, but honestly, I don't know how much more patient I can be with her. Some sound advice will be much appreciated because you guys don't sugarcoat. Your response will be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you so much, brother, for your letter. And you're right. We're going to be as honest and genuine, and we have some great people with some great experience that can help you in your situation. So first, I'm coming to my sister Ebony. What advice do you have for our anonymous brother?
My advice would be to, really sit down with her and try to communicate and express your feelings to her and listen to her as well. And there should be some type of respect level between the two to where she knows that if it's bothering her husband so much, she should have some type of take his opinion into consideration and try to correct that, and also him try to be a little more open to, but she's going out, only the nights that he works. So I understand his concern with it. I would definitely express it to her. And if nothing's changing, then I would advise to get some counseling, try to do some couples counseling and see really what the root of the problem is and why she's having to go out and do these things while he's at work, and try to find some type of common ground.
Very well said. I agree with you. I think some sort of third party have to come in to look into the situation. I'm coming to my brother Kenneth. What advice do you have for our anonymous brother?
I got a real quick question. I don't know if they said it in the letter or if we know, but what's the ages of the couple? I know they've been married for less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't have any age.
No, so age. We don't know. We don't know the age.
No, we don't.
So I'm going to operate from the position that they're young, right?
Okay.
So one of the things is, of course, first and foremost, pray, right? Right. Prayer. We believe that prayer changes things. And sometimes behaviors that we have early on in our life, right, kind of carry over into our relationship. So I guess I have so many questions for this one. It's like, were these tendencies that you saw when you were dating, right? If these were tendencies that you saw when you were dating, then I can understand your spouse saying, hey, you're trying to change me. And this goes back to the conversation that we had the last time we were on the show. When we talked about, is someone trying to change you for the better or they're trying to change you to fit some kind of mold, right? And it sounds like this husband is trying, so anybody who works 24 hours straight and 48 hours off is about his business, right? So that just shows that he's about trying to get to the next level in their life and set up a situation that's perfect for the family. And so without having a whole lot of information, all I can say for this brother is to pray about the situation. Is there some kind of spiritual background? Is there some kind of spiritual foundation in this relationship that he can lean on? And once again, bring in maybe a third party, whether it is a pastor or a minister that you believe in or a professional counselor to try and see where we can go with this. But it's one of those situations that where you have to trust your gut in these kind of situations and trust your spouse, of course, right? You married her for a reason, right? But there's a lot of work that needs to be done here.
Yeah, very well said. And prayers can make the impossible possible, right? Opens up a lot of deep conversations. I'm coming to my sister, Jess. What advice do you have for our anonymous brother?
I agree with both of them. I think they, Ebony and Kenneth, I think they both hit it on the head. Without much content, it is kind of hard to be able to discern the situation. It seems like it's definitely a lot going on, especially the fact that for her to be leaving, like Ebony said, while you're at work, at all times of the hour. So something is drawing her to do that, you know, so we don't understand where that place is coming from, why she feels the need to do that. And of course, using recreational drugs, like, you know, what type of drugs is she using? Does she have a drug problem? Things like that are going to come into play. And yes, as Kenneth said, the power of prayer can move a lot of different things. So it's important for you to be grounded. And yes, you're working hard, so don't feel discouraged. You're doing all the things that if you're doing all the things that you should be doing, continue to do that and seek help when you feel the need is right. And to be able, if you're married less than a year, but you still have that partnership, you should be able to go to your wife and discuss these things with her. And you're not being controlling by having a conversation if you're concerned about someone doing things like this, because she could potentially get hurt. So don't feel like you're being insecure or controlling. And if she's making you feel like you're being controlling or insecure, then obviously there's definitely some deeply rooted issue that needs to be brought out. So.
Yeah, very well said. And, you know, and I just want to thank you so much for your letter, brother. I mean, I just want to say that before I dissect your letter, that positive confrontations are good for any relationship. But I feel like these behaviors of your wife that you're describing are, I would say, the complete opposite. And this will make it even more challenging to bring back the relationship to a healthy balance. I mean, this has been less than a year and there's not enough information to go on your letter. But one thing you mentioned some negative traits that you may have contribute more fuel to the fire. But as a man, as I always tell my brothers out there, you should lead and guide the family dynamics in a healthy manner. But if you're overly jealous or insecure and these are qualities of your character that you're not sure of, then this is something that you have to work out within yourself, because your woman should be your support system and not your savior. Because the reality is, your woman is a reflection of you. In other words, every action is an equal or greater reaction, because if you're not aware or sure of what traits are adding fuel to the fire, then as Ebony and Jess and Kenneth stated, you know, pray, and it's time to bring a third party into the mix. Now, this doesn't excuse your wife's inappropriate behavior, because if she truly honors the relationship, then she wouldn't apply assertive communication despite this negative climate you're both going through right now. So for her to embrace unhealthy behaviors like drugs and alcohol, I feel like it's a lack of respect towards the relationship, which means it's a lack of respect towards you. And when a woman simply doesn't respect you, then it simply means the attraction level is down. And within this context, she doesn't love you. So my advice, if you both want to save this marriage, remember, it takes two for something to work. I would highly recommend counseling and practice assertive communication, so that way your arguments will convert over to discussions, and this way you both will have a more successful way of solving this problem. So good luck to you both, and hopefully the advice, as well as myself, as well as the panel, will guide you in the right direction. So before we get started and pivot to this show, we have one comment already. I'm going to pull it up for the screen, Jess.
Oh, nice group. Everybody looked in all beautiful and melanated. Melon popping.
You know, hey, brother, we appreciate the comment, Antoine. Thank you for tuning in, brother.
You're so silly.
So, today's topic is called Self-Love Attracts Healthy Love. And the first topic that we are going to touch on today is going to be taking care of your physical health. Man, I cannot tell you how important this is when you're working on yourself. So I'm going to size this up. You know, when you engage in physical activities, this can definitely produce long-term health benefits. And I feel like this is why it's critical to get regular checkups and exercise, because this portion can biologically increase your attraction level to the opposite sex. So I'm coming to my sister, Ebony. What thoughts you have on this particular topic?
I think it's really important to keep up your physical health, because your physical health is a representation of your self-love, you know, and it's important for you to pour into yourself and have that self-love before, you go into a relationship, but your self-love and the way that you treat yourself and love yourself is going to be a representation of how you allow your partner to treat you in a relationship. So keeping up in your body and your physical health and, making sure you're trying to keep your body right and being healthy, it's going to change things as well as your mental state. It changes a lot of things. So it's important for you to make sure you're taking care of your body and keeping yourself in good physique. That way you can be healthier for your spouse, for your family, for your kids. That physical health is definitely important.
Very nicely said. Very nicely said. And I feel like when you look your best, you feel your best. So listen, I'm coming to my brother Kenneth.
Kenneth smiling.
Oh, he knows. This is his zone.
We're ready for him. Right.
Come on, bring it to us, brother. What are your thoughts on this topic, brother?
Physical health is so important, and what Ebony said is exactly true, right? Your physical being is a manifestation of where you are on the inside, right? So if you are good and clean and healthy on the inside, you are going to manifest that outside into your physical. But it does not happen overnight. It is not easy. It takes effort. It takes work. And that's one thing that a lot of people see when they see someone who is physically fit or well kept or groomed is that, oh, this person understands dedication. This person understands motivation. This person has goals. This person is goal driven, right? Those things kind of automatically is what people think when they see someone that is physically fit versus someone who is appears to be unhealthy, right? There is a direct correlation with physical fitness and the way people perceive with you and versus someone who is not physically fit and the way people perceive you. And if we're talking about attracting a spouse or attraction a mate, right, you want to put your best foot forward. And not only that, but just the overall and I don't want to speak for the sisters on the panel, but if a gentleman is not physically fit or does not appear to be able to be a provider, a protector, a nurturer based upon their physical appearance, that person may not be as attractive to them, right? Because they're not just thinking about the physical, they're thinking about everything that encompasses in that. And then you're talking about long term, you're talking about longevity. Nobody wants to get into a relationship with someone that looks like they might not make it past 32, right? So that's and if you're talking about a family, you're talking about kids, you're talking about being a good example and a good role model, right? Once again, you don't want someone who is very slothful and has bad eating habits, because now you're going to be bringing up kids in that environment where physical fitness and health is not a priority.
You know, that's very powerful, brother. Man, thank you for your insight, brother. I greatly appreciate it. Very true.
I know, the firebomb.
Yeah,
The bomb.
the bomb.
The bomb.
Great effects up there. Yeah. So now I'm coming to my DBDS sister, Jess. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
It's huge. Especially we were talking about this earlier, especially amongst the Black community. You know, our bodies are temples and they are a representation of us. And we've allowed society to control our bodies in the way they look and in an unhealthy manner. And we do so much negative things to our bodies, and it's affecting everything that we do. So I think people just now more than ever, now that we're in this type of flow where we're more at home, it's a good time to start thinking about putting in a regimen for ourselves. You know, take a little time for yourself, even if you're not able to go to a gym. You know, do something in the middle of the floor. Shoot, bring them babies out. You tired of them kids running around? Tell them to do some push-ups on the floor. Okay, you gotta figure out ways to get your heart rate going, get your blood going. You know, take your kids outside to the playground, run outside with them, try to figure out ways to get active. It's very important. And especially it brings on discipline, and discipline is an important thing that a lot of people lack. When you lack discipline, you're easily misweighed and you're easily controlled. So it's important to have some sort of control or discipline in your life for you and some sort of self-direction. But I can't say that enough, that more than ever, take out the time to do things that are going to promote your physical health. And even if you start off small, whether it's 10, 15 minutes, and then you get your increments grow over time, and you'll start to get used to it, and you'll start to feel more comfortable, you know, increasing the amount of time that you're actually doing physical work. And even for my ladies, there's stuff, go on Amazon, buy some bands, you know, and there's different little things you can buy. There's small things that are not going to cost you a lot of money. You don't need equipment. So, you know, do some lunges outside on the sidewalk in the garage, like get creative. There's some, if you have heavy water jugs, use those, do some lunges down in the kitchen. You got to get creative because, especially now, physical health is going to create clarity in your mind because there's a lot of different things going on. And when I'm physical, when I'm able to move around and I'm working out, it gives me a sense of peace, and it helps me to sleep better too. And it provides clarity. Clarity is a very important thing, especially now where there's so much negativity going on. So hope that helps.
I love that, Jess, and I love how you stated the self-discipline portion, which is extremely important. You know, I believe from a man's perspective, when you pursue such activities to work on your body, as well as the sisters, you know, it greatly increases your own confidence, while at the same time making you far more physically attractive to the opposite sex on the biological level and primal level. And also, as I mentioned, it helps you to develop, as Jess stated, self-discipline and a better ability to accomplish your daily goals. And this is very critical to do this on your own, because when you're in a relationship, it means you have a better ability to concentrate on any given task, and that task will take less time to complete. And truthfully, your body is just as important as your thought process, which we will dive in further on throughout the show. But this is why I encourage my brothers and sisters to eat right. And if you can't stand the thought of certain foods, like, for example, I can't stand the thought of, whole wheat mac and cheese or anything spicy. But if you can't stand the thought of certain foods, then try a protein drink or meal replacement bars or take vitamins or supplements. You can even join the gym, but if you're worried about COVID, just like Jess stated, take those little kids out, have them exercise in the room, because that also keeps everything critically important to keep yourself in health. And lastly, which is very critically important, make sure you get yourself checked out by your doctor if you have any kind of physical issues. I mean, so many of us do not go to the doctors to get checked out because the reality is when you keep yourself looking strong, healthy, and happy, you'll begin to feel strong, healthy, and happy. So that energy projected will attract more people. And when your thought process will convert over from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset, this will give you more of a selection of people to be around with, and you can replace your inner circle with positive people. And whenever you're ready for the right relationship, it will drive you into a better position. So now it's time to pivot to our next topic, which our brothers and sisters can definitely take advantage of with our show today. And the next topic we're going to talk about here is taking care of your emotional health. Man, this is a big one right here, which a lot of people, sometimes neglect. So I'm going to size it up right here. So high emotional intelligence, I feel, plays a critical role in how you react to certain situations, how to express your feelings in inappropriate ways, just to get your point across, how to maintain your emotional temperature to manage your stress level. And also when you improve your emotional health, it makes it easier to connect with like-minded people before you even dive in or think about a serious relationship. So I'm coming to my brother, Kenneth. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Emotional health is something that you would think is just naturally inherent, but it's not. It's something that you really have to develop. It's something that you have to study. It's some conversations that you got to have with some people that are close to you to help develop them. As I stated earlier, I have two young children, right? And I have Jaden, who is 6, and Janae is 4. And as their father, anytime there is an emotional event, whether it is my son or whether it is my daughter, where they want to become emotional, they want to become frustrated, they want to cry, then we're having a conversation. That is a teaching moment right then, right? And unfortunately, so many of our young people, especially our young boys, are told that you can't cry, you can't be emotional, you can't show emotion, right? So as the men and the fathers and the uncles and the cousins in these situations and in these households, we need to teach our young men how to become in touch with their emotions, how to express what they're feeling. Your feelings are your own, right? You can own your feelings, right? But you need to be able to explain why you feel what you feel. You can't just typically, as most men do, is shut down, right? I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm shutting down, I don't want to talk about it, right?
Right.
And as our partners or our spouses, is very key when we get like that to help us understand how that makes you feel, how that makes the family feel, how that makes the children feel. So you can get to a healthy spot in your relationship where you can say, hey, something just happened. I'm upset. I don't know why I'm upset yet. Give me a minute. Let me figure it out. And I promise I'll come back and we can talk about this. But right now, I don't know why I'm upset. I just know that I am. Right. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to have those open conversations. A lot of people feel bad because they're angry or because they're upset. It's your feelings. You feel the way you feel, but you also need to be able to explain why you feel to the person that is close to you, the person that cares for you.
Very well said. And it's so true. I mean, it means that when you have an understanding about your feelings, you become more aware of it within your own, and that way you can translate it to your partner so they can understand your feelings as well. So I'm coming to my sister, Ebony. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
I agree with what Kenneth said. It's important. There are a lot of times when we're younger and we have these things and these emotional feelings, and no one ever really teaches us how to deal with those feelings and how to process those feelings. And men and women, we both, we tend to shut down and say we don't want to talk about it. And it's important for us to be able to learn how to communicate and even understand ourselves so that our partners and our family are able to understand us as well. It takes a lot of time for you to put that self-love, spending a lot of time by yourself for you to understand why you're feeling certain feelings so that you're able to express it and understand, hey, is this really something that my partner did or that someone else did? Or is this something that from my past and my own trauma that's triggering me to feel this way? It takes a lot of time for you to really just break yourself down and think about things and be able to deal with your emotions in a healthy way. Some people, you want to shut down, or some people scream and take it out on other people. It takes a lot of time for you to just be able to find healthy strategies to deal with emotional situations and learn those techniques to say, hey, I need to take a few minutes of self-reflection and understand why I'm feeling emotional and what's making me feel emotional so that I can either adjust it and check myself or be able to communicate it to my partner in a healthy way and I'm big about not speaking when you're angry, and that's one thing that a lot of people, could probably take some points on. I'm like, hey, if I'm upset, I'm angry, I need a few minutes. I need a few minutes so that I don't say anything I don't want to say. And I need a few minutes to understand why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, So it takes time. You got to learn those techniques, learn those strategies, and be able to understand yourself in a very healthy and really down to the nitty gritty so that your partner and everyone else can be able to understand you too.
Very well said. I love that. And I'm just going to bring a comment up from one of our users watching the show right now before I go to Jess. He just said,
Ebony.
Hey. Thank you for tuning in, user. We appreciate that. I'm coming to my sister Jess. What are your thoughts on this topic?
All the signals in our body, emotions are almost like a check engine light in a car. When a check engine light goes off, we know that something is wrong. And we were created to have emotions. So I think that that's something that we shouldn't feel like we should lack to be able to express them, but in a controlled manner, right? Not, being quick to be angry, because that leads to other things that leads to other spiritual disorders that will continue to connect on for generations and generations. But to be able to understand emotional intelligence and, like Ebony said, take a step back and finding different ways on how we can express ourselves in the right way. For some of us, we need to be alone. We need to cry it out. We need to write it down. We need to think. And it'd be foolish of a man to just yell and scream, but then not actually have taken out the time to actually self-reflect, like Ebony said. So during this time, it's very important to figure out your best ways to express your emotions, and everybody does it differently, but just long as it's in a healthy way and it doesn't turn to a negative way. And understand that your mind is powerful, and what you think, what a man thinketh, he becometh. And that's for men and women. So if you thinking wrong, if you keep having these toxic thoughts, it's going to express out into your emotions. So you gotta fix that. The enemy's coming in telling you something crazy to get off on somebody or get revenge or feel some type of way, then you got to redirect that and say that's not for me, and that I'm going to take out the time to fix that, because that can become very dangerous. But again, for men, like Kenneth was saying, to be able to teach our children how the right way to express their emotions is so important. It's still a learning lesson, but we have to reach out to our brothers and get that advice from them, especially as women who are maybe raising men, little boys of our own, that we don't have that. So it'd be good to always have resources around you on how do we tell our children to control their emotions, but not suppress them to the point where they become like they're not important to them either.
Very well said. And, and I agree with everyone on the panel, because your emotional health is definitely linked to your well-being, because, you have to be aware of your feelings and how to deal with your emotions without being overcome by them, I would say. And when you develop this area, you won't pretty much allow setbacks or disappointments to, I would say, ruin your self-esteem. So from a man's perspective, you channel those feelings in a positive aspect to your eternal drive. So that way you can overcome barriers or move yourself around certain obstacles. And, and I believe as a man, this keeps you focused on your purpose, which will naturally attract your counterpart when the right time when the right time occurs. And this also, oh, go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry, Mel. When you finish, I had to go back.
Oh, not a problem, brother. Not a problem. So I just think that this also builds the personal filtration process in which you can gauge a person's emotional temperature. So if the communication climate is hot, like the letter we was reading at the beginning of the show, pretty much that you'll have the ability to listen to a person's feelings to see how this conversation can gauge in the right direction. There'll be a higher probability to know that person is not compatible with you. For example, before you even dive into a relationship, when you know more about your feelings. I feel like this also gives you a higher probability to not even engage in petty arguments, which I have in the past fall prey to. For example, a back and forth disagreement, which includes name calling on social media. I believe that's related to low emotional intelligence, because you're expressing your emotions in a negative way, and you let someone rattle your feelings so you can become aggressive. But one way you can reverse this trend is by improving your emotional health, is by, I would say, expanding your support system with positive people, because social influences, I feel, can have a strong impact on your emotions. For example, when you see how people conduct themselves in healthy relationships and how they express their feelings in a respectful manner, it pretty much gives you a better idea on how your relationship you want it to be when you jump right in. So other than that, man, I'm going to just come back to my brother Ken, because I know he wanted some extra time.
I appreciate the time. Something that is very important, right? As you're teaching, if you're in a mentor state, if you're a parent, if you're an educator, if you're that uncle that someone confides in, when you're teaching a young man about his emotional health, something that is very important is to help them understand what their actions or what they said or what they did, how that affects someone close to them that they care about, right? So if Jaden does something and it hurts Janae's feelings, I make sure that he looks at Janae. Jaden, look at your sister. How do you think she feels? How do you think what you said may hurt? Look at your mom. Is your mom happy? Is your mom upset? So they can start to read and understand those kind of cues. It applies to someone who is 6 to 16 to 24 or 35, right? Understanding your own emotional state and then looking at the person you're having the conversation or the dialogue with and see their emotional state as well, right? To pick up on those cues. Because if you can learn those early, you can understand the room, you can understand what you've done, you can understand the impact of what you've done. If you get to the point to where you're closed off to everybody else's emotions, then you don't care. You just don't care. And I feel the way I feel, and it is what it is.
Very well said. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for that additional input. Now, we're going to take a quick commercial break because it's a lot of topics I want to hit on. So this is DBDS Live, Sit tight. Don't go anywhere.
If you would like to learn how to establish and maintain long-term meaningful relationships, join DBDS University today. You will learn about interpersonal relationships, first date tips, the relationship zones, emotional intelligence, and more.
I want to say thank you to my big brothers, Mel and Mo, for creating the DBDS University with the live, the book, the website. It's helped me so much grow as an individual.
Hey, my peoples, welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with my sister Ebony, my brother Kenneth, and my DBDS sister Jess, and we just been chopping it up. And today's topic is self-love attracts healthy love. And before we dive into the next topics, I'm just going to give some shout outs to our viewers today. Shout out to my sister T, my brother Arnold, Fabuloa, Brandon B. Love, Kiana, Shantavia, Keish Marie Hampton, my little cousins Amir, Jeff Roderick, Twilla, Alicia, Graves, McNinsey, man, Antoine, Precious, Anthony Lockett, shout out to the Ville, by the way, Jamal Lee, Destiny, Jeanette, too many. I will continue to give shout outs throughout the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm going to keep it rolling. We're going to keep it going to the next topic. And the next one that we're going to touch on, which is they go hand in hand, taking care of your mental health. So I'm going to go ahead and size this up and state that when you work on this area, this will help you to process and understand information and experiences. And your emotional health and your mental health, they work hand in hand, because your mental health is related to your mindset, connected to how you feel, which is related to your emotions, and vice versa. So I'm coming to my sister Ebony. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Ooh, mental health. That's a big one. Your mental health is always important. As Jess has said earlier in the show, your thoughts become your reality. So when you have unhealthy thoughts and an unhealthy thought pattern, your reality becomes unhealthy. You start seeing things differently. When you're not good and you're not in a good mental state, it starts affecting your emotional being, your physical being. You're not feeling good. I don't want to get out the bed. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to get myself together. So it's important for you to your healthy thought patterns, and be able to check yourself when you're having those negative thought patterns and redirect those negative thoughts to more positive thoughts. One thing that I started doing while I was single, I was in a bit of a depression when I was in the beginning of a single. I just left my fiance. Things were hard. So I was trying to find a way to be able to check myself and be able to have healthier thought patterns, because I was in a dark place. My thoughts were dark, so I started to start having an attitude of gratitude. So every morning before my feet hit the floor, I would list 3 things that I was thankful for. And literally just 3 things every morning before my feet hit the floor. And as I started doing that, and I started doing it more often, I was able to start listing more. And once I starting my day off on the gratitude attitude, I started having a higher vibration throughout my day. Things weren't able to affect me so easily, and I was able to start learning how to redirect those negative thought patterns. As soon as I started thinking something negative, nope, let me go ahead and say I'm thankful for 3 other things, because there's a lot that we take for granted nowadays, whether it's our physical health, whether it's the people that are around us. There's all types of different things. So it's important for you to put your mental health as number 1, because it trickles down to everywhere else. If you're not mentally healthy, you're not going to be any good. So it's going to be important for you to make that a priority and learn those healthy thought patterns.
Man. Very well said.
Yes,
Man, very well said. I'm coming to my brother, Kenneth. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
One, I just want to thank the panel for bringing up mental health, right? Especially in the African American community. It's not something that we talk about often. It's not something, it is very taboo, especially amongst the males of the African American community. Very rarely will you find us sitting in a room together talking about our mental health or depression or things of that nature, because you start talking about depression and things of that nature, you run the risk of, you think you're going to sound soft, you think you're going to sound weak, you think you're going to sound not tough or not strong, and that is far, far, far from the truth, right? If you can where you are mentally, I think your partner would be better off, your spouse, your children would be better off, everybody be better off if you can really come into touch with where you are in your mental health. We carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, especially in this current climate between COVID and the pandemic and people losing jobs and trying to make ends meet. And then, of course, you have the racial everything going on. Mental health is big. If you don't have an outlet, if you don't have someone to talk to, depression is real in the African American community. Depression is real with husbands and fathers, and that starts to manifest itself in other ways, unhealthy ways, obviously, for the family. You become short, you become ill-tempered. You can't explain what's going on because you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And so to all the sisters out there who say we love our black man, we hear you, black man, that means so much to us. So whether it was a Facebook post or a tweet or Instagram post that you put out there, we appreciate it. We love it. And just to know that we have that kind of support, because very rarely are you going to find a man that will say, hey, babe, I'm feeling a little down. I'm feeling a little, because you just don't want to appear weak. And that's just because of the way that we were brought up, and we got to change that narrative.
Right.
Facts.
Big
Very
facts.
powerful, man. Wow, no, man. Ebony and Kenneth. Wow, amazing. Great points. Coming to my sister Jess. What are your thoughts on this particular topic? Wow.
Mental health ties in such a big role in all the things that I'm trying to do now. Actually, I'm working on an initiative called Bridging the Gap between the Black American community and Africans abroad. Trauma. I could scream.
Yeah.
We have so much trauma. We've been through so much. How can we even walk? How can we even talk? How can we even think? How can we even work? I could literally cry right now. It's unreal why, my brothers and sisters, why we feel so much generational trauma. And it just manifests itself every day in self-hate. And it's like a burden that we carry. We can sit on the call. We can talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
All of us probably got, Ebony could tell me about hers, Kenneth, me, Mel, all of us put together. We could talk about how much trauma and our mental health. A lot of us all have had some sort of disorder, or even have something now that is still not all the way there. And it's a constant thing, always trying to fix it, because it's something that either our parents did or great, somebody did something. And something is off. The pattern is off, and it's about breaking the yoke. I want to read something. It says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. And our minds right now need to be transformed and understand that we all got mental issues, and ain't nobody that's exempt. And I don't want to hear anybody say that they don't got a mental problem, because we all got something wrong with us. Everybody does. Everybody hates somebody in some type of way. Everybody said something low key in their mind about somebody. And it comes to you, and you don't even think you're doing it, but you do it subconsciously. And it's the time now, my brothers and sisters, to start thinking about these things and to start talking about it. dig into the resources that are needed to bring it to the forefront and start breaking those generational yokes, because it is real. Generational curses are real. If you had a abusive parent, that affects your mental health from before, that affect their parent from before,
Right.
whether sexually or physically, because it happens both ways, right? There's a lot of different things. Lying of the tongue, cheating, stealing, killing, all of that ties in. So we have to protect our minds, because that is what, if my mind's not well, I won't be able to be the best me. I won't be able to do all the things that I do. And I literally, people, you're killing yourself. You can kill your physical with your mind. I can kill my physical. If I tell myself every day that I'm sick, that I'm no good, that I'm not good enough, that I hate myself, I hate my job, I hate my family. If I'm constantly thinking these things, I'm literally weighing down on my body. My body will start to deteriorate.
Facts.
So fix the trauma, start doing your research, and get well. And sometimes it takes getting on your knees and saying, break this yoke, whatever this is, the spirit of fear, the spirit of death, all these things, it needs to be broken. So I can't preach that more enough.
Very powerful and very, very well said, Jess. And I felt the passion coming in the screen, because you always speaking from a genuine place, and I appreciate that. I just feel that with the emotions and the mental aspects, as we were discussing earlier, I think you have to balance these two as much as possible, because, on one end, I feel like you should be analytical as well as strategic to do things to push you closer to your goals in a productive and positive manner. But on the other hand, you want to feel confident and optimistic related to your emotions. And I feel like another benefit before you even think about diving into a relationship will be that you will never allow your emotions to override your logic, and vice versa, because you need both. They go hand in hand. For example, you need to know logically if the person that you plan on being in a relationship with will benefit your health. Is this person someone that will bring you down mentally or physically in the long run? Not just the attraction portion, right? And this is why you must have the ability to learn and engage yourself. As Ebony stated, have those affirmations and positive self-talk, because the truth is, how you think about yourself is how you're going to feel about yourself. And some things you can do to improve your mental health is, I would say some suggestions will be to open up to someone who is trustworthy and positive, because knowing you're valued by others will definitely increase your mental health and push back the negative output internally and externally from the outside world. Plus, it's an added bonus when you're being more open and trusting. That will also increase your emotional well-being, because as you get better at finding the positive aspects in other people, you'll become better at recognizing your own. So we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it flowing. The next topic that I want to touch on, which I think is extremely important, is taking care of your spiritual health. Man, I cannot tell you how important this is before you dive into a relationship. So let me key this up. So from my experience, I'm talking from personally my experience, when you have faith or, you believe in a higher power, then your belief system will make the impossible become possible, as I stated earlier. This also gives you a solid foundation as to who you are as a person, and provides you with a moral compass to define what concepts or ideas, which ones are right and which ones are wrong. And normally I feel that people who are more spiritual tend to have higher self-esteem and have a meaning and purpose in life. So I'm coming to my brother Kenneth. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
When we were talking about these topics and we were going through the list, I was like, oh, this should be first, right? Because I want to make sure that we got to this one. Because without a good spiritual foundation, everything else is easily under attack. Your mental is under attack. Your physical is under attack. Your emotional is under attack. If you don't have your spiritual health, is your guard against everything else, right? It is your edge of protection, right? So without a good, strong mental foundation, without knowing who you are and whose you are going to be able to fall subject and fall prey to all kinds of attacks from the enemy, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, whatever they may be, right? And understand that everything that my sisters have been talking about are attacks of the enemy, right? So whether he's going after your physical health, your emotional health, or your mental health, it's always to tear you down and keep you from your purpose. So without a strong spiritual foundation, without knowing who you are and not being rooted and grounded in something that is higher than you, right? Whatever you believe, whatever faith you have, make sure that you're believing in something that is higher than you. Because what happens is, especially as men, we tend to put all that earnestness on ourselves. We tend to carry all of that. We have a hard time with worshiping and praying and things of that nature to someone who is higher than us. And because we feel like it's all on our shoulders, then we start to do things that are negative or adversely affect the family structure, whether it is self-medication or whether it is womanizing or whether it is being abusive physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally. So you got to have a strong spiritual foundation or everything else is going to crumble around it.
Very powerful. Very, very well said. Coming to my sister, Ebony, what are your thoughts on this particular topic and why it's so important to have spiritual health?
Spiritual health. It's always like Kenneth had said, it's important for you to have something to stay grounded to, especially in this day and age, whether it's your faith or, your belief in the higher power or whatever the case may be. It's important for you to take time out of your day, at least a few minutes out of a day just to do your self check-in with whomever it is that you believe in, whether you're praying, whether you're meditating, whatever the case is, you need to make sure you're taking time for yourself and checking in with that every day, at least once a day, to help keep you grounded. I am a woman of faith, so, I know that there are times where it gets really hard and, and it's hard for you mentally and, spiritually. And the only thing that kind of keeps you grounded is your faith and your promises that God has made to you, and all that. Sometimes that's all that you have to stand on. So if you don't have anything to stand on, you need to find it because it just changes things. It changes things. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you have a deeper relationship with things that you can't physically see. Everybody needs to have their faith. The faith of a mustard seed will change things.
Yes.
Very, very powerful. Coming to my sister, Jess, what are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, I always got to keep it 100. Because I've been through some stuff. I've been through some spiritually trying situations. And some things, I think that some people are given a veil over their eyes because certain things, I believe that God doesn't give us more than we can handle, right? So if someone was to see something fully with their spiritual eyes, it would scare them because the things that we don't see, the things that are dark, the things that are of wickedness are scary. And I think that because people don't all the way see in, they have a lack of belief that it exists. And when you have been around people that have dibbled and dabbled in negative things, you get open to those things and it can become a reality. And I do believe a person that believes in nothing can fall for anything. And a second thing, I do believe, what white man do you know named Jesus? I just gotta say that. I'm just throwing that out there. What white man do you know named Jesus? So, but again, you gotta test the spirits. If you do have a spiritual, if you do know how to discern, testing the spirits is important. Be careful what energy you harness because you don't know where it could be coming from. People say, a lot of people say they manifest certain energies and they do a lot of different stuff, but just be careful what you're harnessing because you don't know what it could be. And once you do that in your house, you let in things in your house and you wonder why things start happening. You wonder why there's a lot of anger. You wonder why things keep breaking. You wonder why someone's acting strange. You wonder why you're at nighttime, you're fearing things. You wonder why you're acting out of character. There's a lot of, I think that when we start looking outside of the physical, the world, we start understanding that it's bigger than what we understand. So just be careful to be able to discern and test the spirits, because your spiritual health is anything, like Kenneth said. And if you don't understand that, then you don't know what you're fighting. You don't know what you're up against. And I do believe that people are attacked. Possession is not what we see on the TV with people contorting their bodies. That stuff is, yes, that can happen on a high level. Someone has something extra going on, but possession could be someone who just constantly just lies all the time. Possession can be someone who is constantly promiscuous, out of control, doesn't even know why. I just have to sleep all the time. Sex, just constant sex. I just can't stop. And these things happen to people all the time. They don't even know that they're carrying these things on them. And so you don't have to be speaking weird or whatever. It's the things follow us home. The people that we lay with can bring us things on to us. So your spiritual health,
soul ties,
Your spiritual health, demonic entities are real. Just because you haven't actually seen it doesn't mean that it is not real. It comes through different ways. It comes through the people that we care about. It comes through the people we love too. So being able to test the spirits and asking God, please open my spiritual eyes so that I can understand, is this person really what they say they are? Is their intentions really real? Those things are important, so you won't run into the same constant weird mistakes. You keep getting left in these pit holes. You can't figure out, why am I not progressing in life? Why is there this thing? Something is blocking me.
Right.
That is definitely spiritual. So understand that it's definitely real.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, especially when you mentioned the soul ties you and Kenneth just mentioned. I mean, a lot of people don't. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real, my viewers. So before I just add my short, sweet thing into this, I just want to give a special shout out to Pastor Paul and my Shiloh Christian family. Big shout out to them. Truly amazing people, and I appreciate the knowledge and wisdom that you provide on a daily basis. Now, from my experience, I don't mean to sound preachy, but the spiritual realm exists just like the physical realm. And if you're only focused on the material things of this world, then you have to be mindful that God will not give you anything that you're not ready to receive. For example, and I touched on this earlier, from a man's perspective, as well as my belief, I feel that discretion is a lost art among some of our sisters today. And I believe that's blocking their blessings to allow a high value man to come into their life. I mean, these sexually transmitted energy is very real, because if a sister really wants a lifetime commitment with a godly man, then first she should honor God and dedicate her body to him, and then honor her future spouse if she plans on having one, but by keeping her temple and her body a secret for him and him only. And even the Bible states, and is well said in Proverbs 11:22, it says, like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. And based on what I'm sharing, and I feel if our brothers and sisters truly focus on their spiritual well-being, and listen, Kenneth, I agree with you, this should be the first topic, right? It doesn't matter what religion concepts you practice, you'll be more optimistic, you'll have a greater sense of self-control, and you'll be way more healthier relationships, which will bridge over blessings to the next generation. So with that being said, we're going to take one last break. And when we come back, we're going to do our Jerry Springer moment. So sit tight. This is DBDS. We'll be right back.
Are you single? Do you know about DBDSsingles.com? Are you ready to meet a quality man or a classy woman? The DBDS brothers want you to know that love and loyalty still exists. So if you're ready to meet relationship-ready people, sign up for a free trial. DBDSsingles.com, where quality men meet classy women.
Okay, what up, my people? Welcome back to the DBDS Live Studio. I'm here with my brother Kenneth, my sister Ebony, and my sister Jess. And listen, we've been dropping nothing but gems about self-love, attract healthy love. And if you missed this show, don't worry. Our show will be on heavy rotation throughout the week. So now it's about that time for that Jerry Springer moment, that Ricky Lake moment, that Donahue moment. Listen, I'm coming to my sister Ebony. What are your final thoughts on today's show for the viewers?
My final thoughts would be to love yourself wholly and deeply, and to understand yourself on a deep level. That way, you can make corrections as you see fit, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And that way, if you're the best version of yourself, you're able to attract someone else who's the best version of themselves too.
Very well said, Ebony. Very well said. Now I'm coming to my brother Kenneth. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
First and foremost, wonderful show, wonderful panel. Glad to be here. I know we talked about a lot of things, from mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. But it is very refreshing to see that there are a lot of people that are taking these things seriously, more so now than I've ever seen, in my time here. You got people who are doing yoga, they're doing meditation, they're going to church, they're praying, they're taking mental health breaks, right? And of course, corporations are looking into mental health breaks and things of that nature. So I think we're all heading in the right direction. Just continue to find people that you can talk to and share, and continue to grow in these areas and actively work towards them. I think that's the key thing, is that this stuff is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to actively put in some work to work on your spiritual health, actively do something to work on your physical health, actively do something to work on your mental and emotional health. It is not going to happen overnight. It requires some kind of effort.
Very well said. And now I'm coming to my DBDS sister Jess. What are your final thoughts on today's show?
Yes, again, great panel, great show. I always like to talk about topics like these because I'm just so passionate about it, especially being through all the things that I've been through. Mel knows my story, and understanding that we all have a testimony. We all have a story. And I think that institutionalizing all the things like your belief, your faith, I know that I see society going into sort of a new age standard, but don't be afraid to do worship at home. Don't be afraid to, pray at home and to have that understanding and things like that. And, give out what you can to the community, because that definitely makes a difference. And you'll see things sort of transpire and change in your life when you start to think about others as well, and more caring acts, and start to give, because a lot of people are suffering right now, more ways than we know, and it could actually get worse pretty soon because people are going to start getting more desperate with lack of money. But do what you can to always, like Kenneth said, actively stay involved in all these things and become disciplined. And with obedience and discipline, there becomes blessings, and blessings can come out of a pandemic. Like, don't think that this is the end and it's over and all these things like that. No, we're not going to say that. We don't know the day or the time, but we have to remain obedient. We have to remain disciplined. We have to have self-control, and we have to know exactly what we want for ourselves. And all these things are important. These are important topics that we have to self-reflect on in order to become, like we said, the better versions of ourselves. So our souls are winning, not just once our soul is good, it transpires all the way to our whole body through our physical well-being. And nothing, when you walk out in the world, you won't fear anything, because you'll know that you're covered and you're protected. So continue to uplift yourself. And if you need a resource, DBDS is here. Like, reach out to all of us, even people individually on this panel. Reach out to Mel. If you say, hey, I want to talk about something that's been bothering me, if you need somebody to pray for you, you need somebody to call you, like, we are a community. Everyone here, we're our family. Like, we can't just brush people off anymore. We can't act like everyone, well, your problem is your problem. We can't do that no more, because we've had enough of life like that. We got to start being actively involved in each other's lives and start pulling off people's burdens and start talking about them so they can start feeling better about themselves. So that's why DBDS is here. So continue to lift each other up, guys.
Absolutely. Very well said, Jess. Very well said. And before I go into my final thoughts, man, I just want to thank this amazing panel. Thank you, Ebony. Thank you, Kenneth. This has been an amazing show. And these are more topics we need to have. I know they're hard topics for some to discuss, but we have to put them out there. We just have to. So I just want to finish and state that your physical, your emotional, and your mental, your spiritual well-being are all different dimensions within yourself. And these moving parts are something you have to keep working on in order to evolve as a better version of yourself. And these are individual elements. Each one are connected to elevate your self-worth and enhance your self-love, which sets standards and conditions your minds or what you are looking for so you won't settle and get the relationship you desire. So once again, I just want to thank this amazing panel and much, much love to the DBDS family.
Love you guys. Thank you. Mel, send us off. Yes. Bye.
Bye, everyone.